And we are back. You are chatting with John P. Today, we are going to be talking about something that is perhaps one of the most talked about things in the watch community, especially vintage watch community. After all, that is what we talk about here. If you haven't tuned into the channel before, or you're new, you've been here a while, we talk about vintage watches, supposed to be, and certainly talk about watches altogether. But we're going to talk about something that is just absolutely, I don't want to say ruining the community, but it's definitely a polarizing opinion, and every day more and more people shift into one side. But first, like and subscribe. It keeps me making videos for you. Like and subscribe, all that stuff, and check me out on Instagram, The Real John P, where you can see a little bit of a glimpse into the life of a watch dealer. So the topic for today is the truth about watch polishing. Now, polishing is kind of the generalized term, for those of you that are not familiar, for the process in which a watch surface or the finishing on a watch is either redone, and it could be a brushed polish, or a brushing rather, or a polishing, which is a mirror surface. You know, a polish is a mirror surface, and brushing is kind of that matte look. And there's some other things that can be done, but those are the two major types of finishings to watch cases. Now, what I want to talk about is the truth behind these. We'll call it polishing or refinishing. You know, let's call it polishing because that's a generalized term. Here's the thing. This whole idea of to not polish your watch is a very new concept. In watches, you know, collecting them as investments is a very new thing. Watches were very utility and possibly, oh, by the way, wristwatch check. Today I'm wearing a candy watch, and if you shop at delraywatch.com, you do also get a candy watch. I recently put diamonds on the bezel of my Rolex 1601 in gold, and it's just something I don't want to wear to the office because it looks like I belong in a rap video. But I mean, could you see me in a rap video? Come on. So this candy watch, you all get these when you shop at delraywatch.com. So the polishing, you know, investment watches, it's such a new thing. It's a new thing, and watches have been around for such a long time. It blows my mind. And for those watchmakers that have been around for 50 years experience, they talk to us here, me and Federico, all the time. You know, certainly Hans, he's our watchmaker, and he's been around forever, and he doesn't get it either. It's a new phenomenon, and those that are very old industry veterans, I mean, they've been in the industry a long time. I don't want to say that they're physically old. It blows them away. In the traditionalists, always you want the watch to look beautiful, and a byproduct of not refinishing a watch or polishing a watch makes it look old, and that's favorable. And so first, I just wanted to tell you that this is a new thing. We get calls every day, and people call in and they say, hey John, has this ever been polished? And this is what I like to say. And for those that are really in the know with watches, they'll tell you this as well. If a watch is older than 20 years old, or even a little bit sooner than that, really, if a watch is older than 20 years old, you better believe it that the watch has been polished or refinished or touched up in some capacity. It just has. Now, if you do manage to find a watch that has not been polished, because sure, they exist, you know, people left them in their safe, they sat in the back of jewelry stores, who knows the reason, what happened to the watch? You know, someone bought it and forgot about it. These things happen all the time. We get so many calls where this is the case. You better believe that you're going to pay, who knows, between 20 and 70% more for that watch, depending on what it is and the other provenance, than if it was a watch that's been polished even 3 or 4 times, which is not a big deal. If you have a watch that you want to wear every day, you know, let's say a Rolex Explorer 2 Polar, which happens to be one of the hottest or the biggest increases of prices the last year, the Rolex Polar Explorer, every single guy that wanted to buy one was buying it for investment purposes, even though he wanted to wear it, but they also wanted it unpolished. And it's just not the case. Look around on the forums, look on eBay, look at other dealers, and try to tell if one has been polished or not. The first thing you look for is these things called chamfers. Now, that is basically the angle or the edge of the watch case that is so slim, if you had serious casework done to the watch, it would go away. But is that actually true? Not all the time. Now, that is considering or assuming that you don't know the right guys to bring the watch to that can't recut chamfers. Now, let's talk about this. Watches are made out of metal. there are metal workers that exist that are so good at what they do, they can add metal back to the case, recut those lines, those edges, and make the watch look basically like something that would have come out of the showroom floor. Now, are all the angles and the curves going to be 100%? I don't know, but to the naked eye, it's going to look like that. You would have to have an example that you knew was a barn find 100%, that you could confirm the original owner, it sat in there, a watch your grandmother purchased, never touched, and you could confirm that these were the chamfers, these are the exact angles measured with microscopic measuring tools, and then compare that to something that's you suspect might have had some casework done, even though it had the chamfers, and all of that for a Rolex Polar Explorer that in the grand scheme of collectible watches is still just pushing it into the arena when we're talking about things like Newman Daytonas, which fetch premiums over 100,000, 200,000, $500,000 sometimes, upwards, of course. I would say don't beat yourself up. I mean, considering all of this, do not beat yourself up about if a watch has been polished. If the watch looks good and it has some a lot of the shape left in it, and I'm not saying this because this is what we sell, because if we have watches of all different types and shapes and conditions and provenance and various degrees of that, we have it all. But I mean, you'll pay for it, and certainly we do as well, because everyone knows the price of Rolex. I digress, but this is something to consider, guys. I really want to drive home that watches that are old, they've been polished. Sometimes our polishers are a little bit better than others. We work with an amazing guy that only does polishing, only does refinishing, and he can do AP factory finishing, he can do Patek factory finishing, and these guys are so good. Of course, this does come at a price as well, but nonetheless, I really want to drive home that if it's an old watch, because vintage watches are old, let's be very straight about it, that the watch has certainly been polished, and if not, you're going to be paying museum prices. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this? Leave this below in the comments. Did you know that there are 3 confirmed guys that can do basically Rolex factory spec refinishings of the case and put the chamfers in? Everyone else is just as good without the chamfers. The chamfers require metal put back in. Did you guys know about all of that? And also, what do you think about these candy watches? My time is stuck at 7:30. It feels like it's either time to go to bed or time to wake up. Wow, I don't go to bed at 7:30, do I? I certainly wake up around then. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this. Like and subscribe. Do all of that stuff, as I say. And also check out DelRayWatch.com. We got a lot of cool stuff coming in, and always updating it for you every day based on things you requested. Thanks for watching, guys. You have been chatting with John P. Ciao.